Hello, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Wednesday Talk Show. This is your host, Alamjeet Flora, and we are back with our second episode now with Dr. Milind R. Agarwal. I don't need to introduce him too much because he's been your favorite for a long time and he's been an avid supporter of Pothos events. So we really thank him from the bottom of our heart, and we are so grateful that we're having him back today. Milind is a teacher and an entrepreneur. After completing his Ph.D. from the Mumbai University in 2012 on the subject of Gita, search and applications of values to management, he speaks on various occasions in social, academic, and corporate events. And also, I can add on Pothos events, the Wednesday Talk Show. He's an entrepreneur and he's building his automation startup, Quickwork Technologies in Mumbai. Today, we are going to speak with Milind on the topic of the Gita, our relationship with divinity. I would just like you to know a bit who don't know about Gita is that Gita was actually spoken by Sri Krishna. It is not a religious book. It was his teachings to Arjuna when he was in a state of dilemma. And all the teachings, even today, are relevant in our life. Though the days are not the same, we live in a totally different world. But whatever Krishna ji said to Arjun still is relevant. And we're going to throw more light on it with Dr. Milind Agarwal. Please welcome on the Wednesday Talk Show. Hello, welcome.
Hello. Hi,
Dr.
Alanji. Good to
Hi,
see you again.
good to see you. Good to see you. And thank you for always being there on our show and, guiding us through your wisdom. So thank you
It's a
so much.
pleasure. It's a pleasure, and I'm so delighted to see your small dream Pothos events becoming a bigger venture. You've hosted live shows and many esteemed speakers on your show.
Yes.
So fascinating, and congratulations, Alanji.
Thank you so much for your blessings. Thank you. Thank you. Milind, today we are going to speak about the Gita and our relationship with divinity. That's
Sure.
the topic we have chosen. We can speak on a lot of other things, but I'll start with my question to you is like, why do you recommend that one should read the Gita?
Sure. I'll jump in straight into my slide deck. I prepared a slide deck for today's talk, Alanji, and it
Yeah.
answers exactly this question in the first few slides. Okay,
Okay.
so we'll get started. So, welcome everyone. I'm going to take you through a small journey of the Gita, and I hope you enjoy it. And we'll interact in the question and answer session. So, what exactly is the Gita about? This is what Alamjit asked. So, the definition of the Gita is so Gita has 18 chapters, and after every chapter, you will see this written towards the end. It's called, I call it the definition of the Gita and description of each chapter. So it says Om Tat Sat Iti Srimad Bhagavad Gita Su Upanishadsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Shri Krishna Arjun Samvade. And it's very important for us to realize, that each word is important here. So Srimad Bhagavad Gita, so it's like an Upanishad. We have Upanishads in the Indian philosophical school of thought. It's also called Vedanta. So it's one of the Upanishads. Brahma Vidya means the science of consciousness. And now we'll get into Yoga Shastra, the definition of Yoga Shastra. And Shri Krishna Arjun Samvada is very easy to understand. It's a dialogue between Shri Krishna and Arjun. So let's talk about Yoga Shastra. So what is yoga? So these are the four definitions of the word yoga, or yoga as it's popularly known in the West. So equanimity, samatvam yoga uchyate. Equanimity is yoga, or yoga chitta vritti nirodha. That in a state of yoga, all misconceptions can exist in the mutable aspect of human beings, or the chitta disappear. The easiest one to understand is mana prashamana upaya, which is yoga is a way to calm down the mind. And the last one is Tama Yogamiti Manyante Stiram Indriya Dharana. From Kathopanishad, this yoga is calming down the mind. So the simple definition of yoga is it's a way to calm down your mind. It's as simple as that. And in the context of Mahabharata, when the war was just about to begin, when Lord Krishna and was maneuvering the chariot of Arjun in the middle of the war, and when he became a bit curious and nervous both, Lord Krishna spoke the Gita, and across the 18 chapters, where each chapter is a form of yoga, he taught him how to stay calm in the midst of intense chaos. So that's the primary purpose of the Gita, Yoga Shastra. It is how to calm down your mind. And what's the other word? Shastra. Shastra is the knowledge based, which is based on principles that are held to be timeless, right? So that's why it is the definition is Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastra and Shri Krishna Arjun Samad. So that's what Gita is about. 18 chapters, 18 ways to calm down your mind. Now let's move to the next step of this journey. What is Gita like? Why is Gita important? It takes us from self-awareness to self-realization. So it helps us in discovering and rediscovering ourselves. That is Vyashti, or if you know the Hindi word Vyakti. It's like, for me, what is my relationship with myself, my duties towards myself? And when I ask these questions, who am I? Why do I exist? And then leading a purposeful life, because we also have a relationship with our family, our neighbors, our friends, our colleagues at work, and in general the nation, the global world, in a larger sense. It's called some society or samashti. We have a dutiful relationship with nature or cosmos called shrishti, and of course the focus of today is, which is our relationship with divinity, which is parmeshti. And it all this knowledge helps us to contribute meaningfully and purposefully to the ongoing cycle of creation. Okay, so these are the four dimensions of our relationships. Is like, what is my relationship with myself? What are my duties towards myself, which is vyashti? Then what are my duties, and what are my duties towards the society, and which includes my family, my roles as a father, brother, son, husband, as a neighbor, etc. What are my duties towards creation, nature? The world suffering from the climate change problems, this the new wave of ESG. This is exactly where we have forgotten our duty, our stated duty by Lord Krishna, that we have a duty towards creation and nature, and which is Srishti. And the final one, which is the most important one according to me, is our relationship with divinity or Parmeshti. So these are the four dimensions of our relationships. Let's deliberate a little bit more in these four dimensions.
Yeah.
So a famous saint called Satya Sai Baba, these are his words, these are not mine. And he's trying to explain that, okay, there are four entities: Vashti, Shamashti, Shrishti, and Parmeshti, which is individual, society, creation, and creator. And he says, well, Shrishti emerges from Parmeshti, that is, the creator creates nature or creation, and society is a part of Shrishti, and Vyashti is a part of, the individual is a part of society. So they are intrinsically and deeply linked, interlinked, and interdependent. And that's what he says, that if you see my yellow highlighted statement, that this is the basis of entire creation. We cannot see this in isolation, that, oh, I'm going to be just doing my duty towards myself. I'm just going to ignore my duties towards Srishti, or I'm
Yeah.
just going to do my duty towards Parmeshti. So then what is the goal of life, right? Swami Vivekanand, who's, one of the most well-known, I would say, Yug Purush or Mahapurush of India, he says that the goal of life is to manifest the divinity within us. And how do you manifest this divinity is what the Gita talks about. And that is what is the purpose of of today's talk. So I'm going to pause here. Does anyone have any questions around the context of today's discussion?
Yeah, please share your questions. We will keep answering them as we go ahead. But if there's anything that you want, please pause us and ask us your questions. I will share them with Milind, and we will try to answer as much as we can in the given time. So,
Yeah.
Milind, what is the difference between spirituality and religion? Now, there's always a, uh, what do you say? People try to interconnect or like treat them as one. So, what is your take on that?
See, this is my personal interpretation. I call it spirituality is my interaction, conversation with divinity in my private space. Religion is, what is visible outside to the outside world. The rituals or the practices which I do to keep reinforcing my relationship with divinity. So that is a religion. And sometimes what happens is the religion becomes a very mechanical set of actions, with no sense of awareness. And that is where probably the religion is working in favor of the individual, because there is no growth or progress or development happening on the path of spirituality. So when religion is done, practiced with a sense of awareness, with a realization about why we are doing this, very
Yeah.
purposeful, and I would also say scientifically, and
Yes.
not just emotionally being connected about doing certain things. So that's the difference. Spirituality is like it's private and public. In a way.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, I think religion is just formed to just give you the direction into spirituality only. So
Yeah,
that's
see, just to, since you brought up this point, Alamjeet, see, and just going back to what I just stated in the first few slides, right?
yeah.
What is religion or a ritual, right? Ritual, okay, when we say we worship Nadi or river in Ganga or Yamuna or Saraswati or any Nadi, when you
Yeah.
worship a river, you're not going to dirty it. But look at our people, right? In India, you see so many rivers getting
Mhm.
polluted with
Yes.
industrial effluents and different kinds of contaminants. Why this is happening is because we have stopped seeing the divinity within those nadi. We've forgotten our duty towards Srishti, towards those. So if we see divinity in a tree, we are not just going to cut it. But in
Correct.
Mumbai, I see that when development is happening, they mercilessly cut those trees, and you can't. It's taken 40 years for that tree to grow and give oxygen to so many inhabitants. So
Yeah.
the purpose of creating religious rituals was to, one, keep reminding the individual that he or she has to remember to see divinity across in material and conscious creation, and
Yeah.
also perform the duty which is ordained by the relationship between the individual and the dimension of creation.
True, true. Very true. Very well explained. Like you have this Vatta Purnima and all also where the, ladies tie the thread around the people tree. So all these things are even science related, some of them. So yeah, there's a lot we can talk about. So
Yeah.
why is it important? Yeah, you were saying something.
No, I think this is exactly the purpose where when women go and do worship of a tree, and the family notices, right, that today is a
Yeah.
special day, that my mom is going to wear a red whatever jewelry, go out
Hmm.
and worship a tree. And when
Yeah.
the small child becomes curious, they understand the ritual and they understand, okay, this tree is important. We are not supposed to cut this tree. We are going to protect this tree because this is a banyan tree and it's going to be here for a few hundred years.
Yeah.
So that's it, and that's the oxygen. We don't need any environmental climate engineers to come and solve these problems for us. Right? It's as
Exactly.
simple as that.
Exactly. Yeah. So why is it important to keep this divine inclination? Why is it so core for any human?
Because that's what the divinity created us for. And as I said, I was just on the slide that Swami Vivekananda
Hmm.
is mentioned. The goal of life is to manifest the divinity within. And those are the next few slides we are going to talk about. That who's that divinity? How do I see that divinity? Where is that divinity? How do I interact? What does the divinity? What is it? What is the divinity in the form of Lord Krishna telling us to do? So
Yeah.
that's how we will build our relationship. Okay. So shall I proceed to the next few slides?
Yes, you can. You can. You can.
Okay. For the audiences, please bear with me. My text, these slides are full of text material, but I have no choice because these are important shlok from they are taken from the Gita. So I will
No,
try to
but
read them slowly. Yeah.
thank you
So
to, concise it for us. Like we can have everything. All this, everything's documented by you, and it's easier for us then.
sure. Please stop me or interrupt me whenever you need to.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about the most confidential knowledge, right? And this is chapter 9 of the Gita, where the Lord Krishna is revealing to his friend Arjun the most confident. Like when we reveal our secrets only to our close friends, right? Like I will tell my best secrets to my wife alone. She's my best friend. So we always tell our best friends or closest friends our top secrets. So the most confidential knowledge, where the Supreme Personality of Godhead says, "My dear Arjun, because you are never envious of me, I shall impart to you this most confidential knowledge and realization, knowing which you shall be relieved of the miseries of material existence. Now, let's pause here and look at what was the problem Lord Buddha tried to solve, right?
Right.
Birth, death, disease, and old age.
Old age.
These are the four miseries of material existence. All of us undergo it, and
Right.
nobody wants it, right? Nobody wants to be undergoing this. So, so the second verse says, the knowledge is the king of education, the most secret of secrets, and it's the purest knowledge, because now I highlighted in here, it gives direct perception of the self by realization. This knowledge is not speculative. This is not imaginary. You can directly perceive the self by realization, and it is everlasting and it's joyfully performed.
Yeah.
Now he continues. Krishna says that fools deride me when I descend in the human form, because we start wondering, like Krishna. I mean, he was a cowherd born in Gokul, and he was roaming the streets of Vrindavan. I mean, how
Yeah.
can he be wrong, right? And that's the clarification. Krishna says that fools think I'm human, but I'm not. I'm
Yeah.
transcendental in nature, and I'm the whole, the sustainer, the master, the witness, the abode, and the refuge, and the most dear friend. And I'm the creation and any relation, the basis of everything, and the resting place of the eternal seed. So then he says, those who worship me with exclusive devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, to them I carry what they lack and I preserve what they have. So he says, ananyasha chintayanto mam ye jana paripasate tesham nitya abhiyuktanam yoga kshema mahamyam. I will protect. To them, I carry what they lack and I preserve what they have. So if you align yourself with divinity, then you become tension free, because it's going to take care of you. You don't have
Yeah.
to worry about anything. He's there all the time. It's like, going on the street as a small child, holding the finger of your mother, and you're walking on the street. It's a chaotic street, but you feel safe because your mom is there, and that's
Yeah.
exactly what Lord Krishna is saying here.
Right.
Then, Arjun, he says, well, I believe you, you're my good friend, Krishna. And again, I'm just straight away jumping into the yellow highlighted. It's like, how shall I constantly think of you? How shall I know you? In what forms are you to be remembered? O Supreme Personality of Godhead. Like, yeah, I mean, it's like Alamji telling me that she's a goddess. And I say, okay, I trust you, Alamji, because I believe you are a goddess. But how do I think about you? Like, I need some tangible
Yeah.
way to know you. So that's where the Lord says that I will tell you my splendorous manifestations, but only of those which are prominent, because my opulence is limitless. So God's opulence is limitless; it's infinite, and it's very difficult to sum it up in one chapter, right? In the Gita, but He
Right.
tells the main ones. But the most important statement He makes here is in the 20th shloka of chapter 10 is that I'm seated in the hearts of all living entities. So, for some of you who are wondering, like, okay, where does this divinity live? Please place a hand on your heart, and that's where divinity is there. That's what the Gita says. And I've experienced it, so I can say that as one of a student of the Gita, that's the truth. So, where is the seat? In the heart of all living beings. And in this 10th chapter, so if you read the 10th chapter of the Gita, you'll see different places where he's expressing his opulence. Okay.
Yeah.
Now we come to the next one. Arjun, well, he believes his friend, but it's like, so as I said, I just made a random example. Alamjit, like, Alamjit, I trust you. Yeah, you are telling me that you are goddess, but I give me some more proof. I'm not really convinced. So then Arjun says, I wish to see you how you have entered into this cosmic manifestation. I want to see that form of yours. And that's where Krishna shows his Vishwaroop, his cosmic form to Arjun. It's like, for our modern generation, it's like we go to Mark Zuckerberg and we say, hey, if you want to see your metaverse, virtual reality. So he's going to give you a glasses, right? A special goggles which you wear, and then you see his metaverse. So you want to see Krishna's cosmic form. That's why
Yeah.
Krishna gave special eyes to Arjun. Because he couldn't see his splendorous, resplendent, bright cosmic form. So that's where he gets proof that, and he says, well, behold, at once in the body of mind, the universal form can show you whatever you now desire to see and whatever you may want to see in the future. Everything, moving and non moving, is here completely at one place. So it's beyond space and time, it's transcendental. And Arjun got the evidence, right? I mean, he cannot argue now that, well, I don't think you're God, this is 100% sure. This is divinity.
Yeah.
And as I said, you cannot see me with your present eyes, so I'm going to give you divine eyes. And Arjun saw the cosmic form, the resplendent cosmic form of Lord Krishna,
Yeah.
and unlimited mouths, unlimited eyes, unlimited wonderful visions, and those celestial gardens. And you can just imagine, right, an infinity on
Yes.
all sides, in all directions.
Yeah. But it raises a question to my mind also, is that, it was Arjuna and he was right next to Krishna. But today in this world, how does one uh, get to some place of divinity? How do we get those eyes of divinity? How do we look at it?
So we'll come to that. But see,
Okay.
this is an exception given by the Lord Himself. It's called the causeless mercy, or in Hindi
Yeah.
they call it hetu ki kripa. I
Hmm.
cannot choose, I cannot go and stand in a line and say, hey, I want to book a metaverse goggle and I want to see the resplendent cosmic form of the Lord. The Lord will choose me as a devotee and
Yeah.
give me that capability to do that.
Yes.
And he does that out of causeless mercy. There is no private agenda there. If he loves you, one day you'll see the cosmic form. But there is a small journey which we have to do, and I'll come to the 5 stages of our relationship with divinity. Okay,
Okay.
so but this is evidence. This is so that people
Yeah.
don't wonder that, oh, are we talking about some coward boy in Vrindavan? Uh, is he God or not? So he's given enough evidence, right? First he gave
Yeah.
his opulence, and then he gave his evidence by showing his universal form.
True.
And in fact, here is what Arjun is lamenting. It's like, oh, I'm so sorry, my friend. I just made fun of you, and I used to ridicule you and play with you. I didn't know that you're God. And he's feeling apologetic, but now he knows that it's Krishna who's God, but
Yeah.
who's playing his role in the human form. So the evidence is complete, and it's done.
Yeah.
Now we come to a very important verse in the Gita on the different states of a relationship with divinity. So the Gita in the chapter 13 on the 23rd verse, it says Upadrashta Anumantacha Bharta Bhokta Maheshwara Parmatameti Chapi Ukto Dehe Asmin Purusha Para. And there are 5 states of a relationship. And the first one is Upadrashta, which is witness, Anumanta, which is a permitter, he gives permission, Anumati, Anumanta, Bharta, which is nourisher, Bhokta, which is enjoyer, and Maheshwara, which is the Supreme Lord.
Yeah.
And see, if you pause on this slide and see, try to read it, and it took me many years to
Hmm.
understand this show, and that's why I put it up in today's show, in the talk show, that I consider as the most important verse in our relationship with divinity, where it says, "Yet in this body there is another," and please focus on the word another, a
Yeah.
transcendental enjoyer who's the Lord, the supreme proprietor who exists as the overseer and permitter, and who is known as the super soul. So, and this is my interpretation. You can please ask your other spiritual guides or gurus if you have any. I think that in my heart I have my own Atman, and I also have this super soul, the Paramatma, Lord Krishna. He's sitting in
Yeah.
my heart and he's watching what I'm doing as an Upadrashta. The first state of religion of our relationship is true for all of us. He's the intimate witness. He knows my thoughts, feelings, emotions, desires, my ambitions, my actions, and he's silent. He's a silent witness. He doesn't interfere. In fact, he enables me by being an impartial permitter who
Hmm.
gives me the permission to be able to do what I want to do. So he doesn't interfere, but he's a witness and a permitter. And as my devotional relationship with the divinity grows, then I start understanding that I'm offering all the fruits of action to him as Bharta Bhokta. And finally, it culminates into my realization he's the super soul, which I believe is the final pinnacle of spiritual realization, like what Arjun was just plain lucky that Krishna gave him Ehetuki Krupa and showed him the cosmic form. So maybe if we reach that stage, Alamjit, you will get the divine goggles to see him or her, whichever way you worship them in their cosmic form.
Yes, yes. The effort is going on. So let's see someday. So yeah, so coming to my next question is visiting, worshipping, regularly, like these important places like temples and all. Is it important to go?
Well, so one, it's a personal choice and preference, right?
Hmm.
As I said, spirituality is a very private. You can sit wherever on this planet or even in space, and you can have your inner prayers and meditation. Nobody needs to know about it, and you
Exactly.
don't go to temples to show to others that you know that you are a very sacred person. How it helps going to places of worship is it's almost like a your duty towards samashti, the society, because temples are also social places of temples or churches or mosques for that matter, are
Yeah.
social places for worship where you also meet other people who are spiritually inclined.
Right.
Now, of course, there are chances that you'll also end up meeting bad people, some bad people, but the highest probability is that you'll get some satsang. Satsang is meeting saintly people. People are inclined towards divinity. And when you meet them and when you interact with them, the right kind of directional correction happens in your thoughts and your actions, and then you become a better person. So,
Yeah.
yes, it's meaningful, but depending on what's the purpose of your visit to the temple. If you're going to the temple to say your prayers or do the ritual of worships with love, emotion. That's why in the Gita there are three broad categories of yoga. Gyan yoga, bhakti yoga, and karma yoga. Those
Mhm.
who are emotional, they should follow this devotional form of bhakti yoga. Those who are very intellectual, very rational, they should do Gyan yoga path. And those who are very action oriented, restless people, they can't sit in one place. They just want
Yes.
to keep doing something, building something,
Yeah.
always in action, do karma yoga. So the Gita is so beautiful. It has given 18 ways to calm down your mind, but also three broad categories of making that happen.
Yeah.
So
Right.
yeah,
And reaching divinity in those three forms. Yeah.
yeah,
And like
they are all paths, three different paths to reach the same destination.
exactly.
You can
Yeah.
have a mix and match of any of these three. It's not like they are mutually exclusive. It's not
Yeah.
like bhakti yoga, if you're doing bhakti yoga, you can't do jnana yoga. No, the Lord
It's a
doesn't say that.
combination.
Just calm
Yeah.
down your mind. If you calm down your mind, wisdom will appear, and slowly your mind will get clarity. And once you have clarity, all these things will start making sense to you, whatever
Correct.
He's teaching you.
Correct. No, my experience of going to these religious places is like, it's a very humbling experience. When you go there and you do seva and you see people doing so much more than you, is that it really humbles you and, of course, encourages you to do much more and, pushes you a little ahead of your divinity path and gives you a little guidance to do better and know how to do things. So,
Sure.
yeah,
And when we do it with a sense of selflessness,
yeah,
then I think it becomes very transformational. See, I
correct.
would say some people may be going to religious places to make new friends or maybe trying to create an image that, well, we are so holy and sacred. Maybe, I don't know. But
Yeah,
some might be genuinely going to complete rituals so that, their reinforcement of divinity's, presence in their hearts and their way of being becomes more prominent.
yeah. Yeah. Like wherever you think, even in the house, there is God. So it's just what you can make a, combination of these practices and go ahead in your divine path. So, we also we go to temples and all, but there's always a missing edges, like we look for a guru, who can
Okay.
guide us more. So what do you think? How important it is to have a guru? And how can you identify like who's the right guru for you?
So, see, I have a simple thumb rule, at least what I've created. First of all, they say there is only one guru as such, which is Krishna Mande Jagat Guru, right? So,
Hmm.
if you don't have a guru, okay, Krishna is your guru because, yeah, through the Gita, is teaching you, how to transform yourself spiritually. But if
Right.
you want to find a human being as a guru, and if you think you need them to guide you and walk this journey towards spirituality, I think you should at least be patient and observe them, not with a sense of ridicule or doubt, but at least observe them. And for me, if my guru, so I believe in Swami Vishweshwaranand Giriji Maharaj, who lives near my house in Sannyas Ashram, Parli, Mumbai. That how they conduct themselves. I mean, are they inspiring? So if
Yeah.
you're with a guru, you know that you're with the right guru, because they'll make you feel stronger, happier, better, clearer, more empowered. But if there are people around you who you think they are gurus, but they're stressing you out, and my thinking is very simple. If they are making you do superstitious things or weird things which scare you, that you
Yeah.
do blah blah blah, otherwise you so much damage is going to happen to you. I don't think
Exactly.
they are gurus. I personally, this is my opinion, and people can believe in what works for them. But
Mm.
anything which stresses me out, it's like you know. It's like love. When somebody loves you, you feel empowered all the time. You feel good, you feel healthy, you feel better. Otherwise,
Yeah.
it's not love. So same way with a guru, are they giving you clarity? Are they helping you work through that path? And first of all, their contact has to be exemplary.
Yeah.
A teacher, a good guru has to be exemplary in their conduct. Otherwise, maybe they are not good. And in Dattatreya, the other form of the combination of the three lords, Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, Sri Dattatreya, he had many gurus. He would see a sparrow as a guru, a cow as a guru, a tree as a guru. So
Mm.
anybody who reinforces the spiritual aspect of your being is a
Yeah.
guru. But as they say, Sadguru. Sadguru is your spiritual guru, your adhyatmic guru. It has to be only one, and they guide you towards self-realization, and that becomes a very very big step. It's like a quantum leap. Otherwise,
Yes.
in a series of material existence, you are always taking rebirth in different forms, and you're not getting out of this cycle. So looking at Sadguru is harder, but if you are the right candidate, I believe the Sadguru will appear in your life.
Yeah, very true. Nowadays, there's so many gurus that it's very difficult to identify who is like genuinely going to take you down that path. And yeah, so we have a
So
question.
yeah,
I think so from
it's my
Santosh.
friend Santosh. Santosh
Yeah.
is a wonderful person. He and his wife, they have written a book on the Gita
Wow.
Way. And
Okay.
he mentions here, thank you, Santosh. Those who know the transcendental enjoyer resides inside, know the duty towards the body itself. And the Gita elaborates that aspect as well in detail. Thank you, Santosh. I would request you and Shweta to maybe take a follow-on session on the Gita with Alamji, and
Yes, I would love.
to listen to you.
Yes.
So so good. Thank you, Santosh, for mentioning, for sharing your thought.
Thank you,
So
Santosh. Thank you. Yeah.
I'll continue to the next slides,
Yeah.
Alamji.
Yes.
So here is the final assurance from divinity.
Yeah.
So as I mentioned earlier, and Lord Krishna mentions this in various places in the Gita, that he's situated in everyone's heart. So when people say, "Keep," where does he stay? Okay, he's in your heart. Put a hand on your heart, and you'll feel it. Okay, and what is he saying is that if you abandon, look at the last line, abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender into me, I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. He's giving you an assurance that I'm there. He again and again tells you that, hey, if you trust me, surrender to me, and do what I'm suggesting, I will take care of you. You don't have to get stressed out or tensed about anything. I'm just
But
there to.
that's the most difficult part, right? Always to surrender. Because we humans don't know how to surrender. We are always in ifs and buts and
Yes,
always questioning.
there is an illustrative example that
Yeah.
there is a little girl standing on the table and playing with the father. Suddenly, the light goes off, and the father says, "Okay, beta, jump." And the little girl knows that the father is going to catch her, right? She's not going to fall down. So even in the
Yeah.
darkness, she takes the leap of faith and she jumps, right? But
Right.
we don't want to be like that child. We are saying, no, God, you should actually make a nice cushion, golden cushion for me. Catch me in the way I want, when I want. And so
Yeah.
we try to make divinity a servant. And that's the whole challenge, right? In fact,
Right.
we go to the extent of him bribing, right? We give Ikki Suke ka prasad and mithai, and we try to bribe. And I
Yeah.
have lots of youngsters working in my company, and I tease them sometimes. So sometimes they're student interns, like, so who's your latest favorite? Like, is it Hanumanji or Shivji? Because how much money would you offer them to make you pass your exam? And they laugh at it, of course. And it's kind of cute,
Right.
right? I mean, love doesn't have any boundaries, right? It's simplistic love. But
Yes.
nevertheless, there is a bit of dilution in the
The approach. I
yeah.
think the approach then only is on like Mondays and Tuesdays and the other days, and then you have forgotten in between like what it is to stay connected.
Yeah,
So
it's like, I read now, right now, we are tomorrow is the last day of Ganpati festival in Mumbai. It's
yeah,
such a vibrant atmosphere here. And, I saw one cartoon where the Ganpati at home is telling the devotee, hey, why are you going out to see all these large Ganpatis? Am I not enough? Am I not the
yeah,
same Ganpati? Why are you going to other places? Like, I'm the same
yeah,
everywhere. So, and even Kabir Das ji has a doha, right? Moko kaha ढूंढे रे बंदे मैं तो तेरे पास में ना मैं काशी ना मैं काबा ना ऊंचे कैलाश में. It's like
yes,
right there. He's residing in your heart. We don't have to do anything much, but it depends on when we understand this and we start practicing that, right? So,
yeah,
but assurance is there. Okay, so the assurance is from the divinity,
yes. And
and
I hope that youngsters are watching this more, because the earlier you start, the better it is for you to know this and gain knowledge. The older you get, I think it is your willpower is a little weaker to go on that path. So
well,
yeah,
I say, since I come from the startup entrepreneurship space, no age is young or old. You can start anywhere, anytime. I mean,
okay,
that's the right time. And
yeah,
somebody asked me this question: which is the most fascinating startup you have ever noticed or seen? I said it's ISKCON. Swami Prabhupada, he left India in a third class ticket in a ship to America at 69 after 3 heart attacks. And
oh,
before he left his body, he established 108 temples, right? He had nothing in his bag, just one Bhagavatam, one Gita, and one Manjira, where he used to do Kirtan of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And what kind of a startup was that? I mean, he had nothing. In fact, he wrote a letter to Krishna on the ship. It's like, what are you expecting this old man to do? In America, it's a foreign land. I know nobody there. I have very little money. In fact, after he landed there, he saw even a more difficult situation. It was like hippies and drugs. And again, he's written that, what are you? I mean, isn't this like
expecting.
extreme? How am I going to convert these people? It's impossible. But it happened, right? Gradually, people fell in line, and you see
Yes.
that this startup is thriving much after many more years after he left.
Oh, amazing. We have one in Stockholm also.
Yeah,
So
so it's the founder's resolve, the founder's spiritual strength, which
yeah,
brings together these long-lasting institutions and organizations. Alamji. Yeah. So I'm towards the end of my presentation. So after the okay, Mr. Subhash Chandra Jain is saying yes, surrendering
correct.
is yes, sir, we agree with you, but we should keep attempting. One day probably it will happen, right? There was a very famous. There's a very famous book called Autobiography of a Yogi by Paramahansa Yogananda. I read it in
Yes.
college, and his guru's guru, Swami Shri Lahiri Mahashay ji had said,
Very
"बन
much.
बन जाए, बनते बनते बात बन जाएगी." Attempt
Yeah.
करते surrender
Banat
कर.
banat ban jaye.
Correct, correct. So after evidence, after telling Arjun why is it important for him to understand his duty towards divinity, after showing him opulence, after giving him evidence, after giving him an assurance, he's giving him a freedom of choice. He's saying, I've explained to you everything, all confidential knowledge. Deliberate on this fully and do what you wish to. He's not forcing Arjun that, I'm God and I've shown you proof, but you still do. God is so kind, He's so merciful. He doesn't force anyone. He's not going to impose. He's all loving, Sat Chit Ananda. That's the design, fundamental design of the Lord. And He doesn't force Arjun to do. So He's giving freedom of choice. However, He gives a guarantee of outcomes if you follow what He is saying. He's saying, if you follow me. So the final verse of the Gita is, what happens if you follow the Gita? you'll get wonderful results which are sure to be achieved, namely good fortune, victory, welfare, and a stable moral order. So this is
Yeah.
the divine, watertight, gold, 24 karat gold guarantee given by divinity, that if you follow, then this is what is going to happen to you. So that's
Yeah.
why Gita should be read, studied, understood, and practiced. And
Yeah.
this is the reason. I mean, if for even for a materialistic business person, this is easy to understand. This is like a divine guarantee. It's a guaranteed outcome. It's not probabilistic. It is deterministic. You get this outcome for sure.
Yeah. No, fantastic. So this is an assurance, of course, but we are still a human and we are still making those mistakes and not continuing to focus on the things we should, right?
Sure. Okay. So now we are open for questions and answers. Alanjit, you can.
If anyone has. No, I just was going to ask you, how do we look, at good and bad things happening in our life? Like we are always struggling with something or the other, and then we are always questioning why did this happen to us and why did that happen to us?
Okay. So the answer is very simple. We have to bear the consequences of our actions. It is the law of karma.
Yeah,
And whether we believe in it or not, someday we will believe it that, okay, when people say, oh, this is such a bad guy, but good things are happening to them. Well, he's reaping the benefits of his good deeds of the past karma uh, at this time, and he's doing bad things right now. So he's sowing the seeds in the future for the future, which are going to lead to bad experiences and outcomes for that
yeah,
individual. So the fact remains, the law of karma is at work, just like the three laws of motion. That for whatever we do, the consequence will have to be borne by us, and it's not going away. And many people make a mistake that I'm going to do bad things and I'm going to square it off with good things. It's not like a neutralizing. It's not a plus minus will meet each other and get neutralized. No, you'll have to bear the consequence of bad things, and you'll have to bear
correct.
the consequence of good things. So that's the simple answer as per karma yoga.
Yeah, but like what should be somebody's daily practice to, be conscious? So, of course, we live a very, we're always not very conscious about our actions and not very mindful. In a divinity, we are conscious that we're eating and all that. But in a divine way, how can someone be?
Very simple. I've said Upadrashta Anumanta cha Bharta Bhukta Maheshwara. The Upadrashta, the witness, eternal witness is residing in your heart. Start becoming more and more aware with love, with devotion, with surrender. That Lord guide me to do the right things, right actions, have the right thoughts, make right decisions, right choices. And guess what? He's saying he's given the proof, evidence, assurance, and finally he's giving the watertight guarantee. So Uptrashta is the first state of our relationship, and one can just start with that. Feel the witness, the feel the intimate witness, the impartial witness residing in your heart.
Yeah.
Okay, somebody has a question.
Yes. Okay. Uh,
Bhumika here.
I have
I
a
have a
question.
query. Sometimes our intentions don't land where we want to. It goes wrong on us. In that case, do we accumulate bad karmas? So, Bhumika, see, you are mixing up your actions with outcomes. And outcomes are dependent on multiple factors. And one of the factors in the Gita, there it has been mentioned, it is Deva. Deva means divinity. So, there is one factor which you cannot control. So, your job is to do your duties with detachment, with heart. And again, people misinterpret this karmanye vadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. It is the karma here is the definition of duty. You are not going to expect any fruits. Okay, your duty as a mother towards your child, you're doing your duty. There's no fruit of that. You cannot expect fruits for doing your duty, right? I come and do my job in my office as an employee of my company. Then okay, I'm doing my duty. I mean, what's the fruit? Yeah, I'm getting already paid for it, right? I'm supposed to be doing it with the passion, diligence, and dedication. So to answer Bhumika's question, if the outcomes are not as per your desire, one, I would say, please trust that the Lord has better plans for you. Maybe this is not the best thing he or she wanted for you to happen at this time. to maybe even that outcome was very beneficial, but it did not come towards you, is because of some past action which you did, and the consequence was getting neutralized by you not getting the outcome you desired for. So action and outcome cannot be mixed up. Outcome is not in your control. Action is in your control.
Yeah, and in this, when you say about past, we also are relating to the past lives that we have had, right?
Right?
Yeah. So
So
it could,
past lives, we don't have memories of past lives, and I'll say a very small story quickly so that people understand how deep the law of karma is. So many of you would know that after the Mahabharata war ended, uh, Bhishma Pitama, who was the oldest grandseer of the war, he was lying on a bed of arrows. Right, Arjun had shot a lot of arrows on his back,
yeah,
and he was waiting to die at the opportune moment of Makar Sankranti, which is around January 14th, when the northbound journey, apparent journey of the sun, which is Uttarayan, starts happening, right?
yeah,
And he was waiting for that, so he was lying down, and everyone knew he's such a wise old man. I mean, he was such a big personality, and Lord Krishna and Yudhishthir and everyone used to go to him for advice. And Bhishma, because of his spiritual state, he knew that Krishna is not human; he's God.
yeah,
So one day he asked Krishna, he's like, Krishna, I know you're God, right? I mean, how lucky can I get? Like, I'm directly dealing and seeing and interacting with God. And I've been very true to my duties all my life. I have not done anything wrong. Why am I suffering so much? I mean,
yeah,
what don't I deserve better? It's like almost like Bhumika's question. It's like, why am I sleeping on a bed of arrows before my death? So Lord Krishna says, well, it's law of karma at work. You must have done something in your previous births. So he was a special person, Bhishma. He said, yeah, I remember my previous births. He said, yeah, go and see in your previous births. You'll find something you could have done. So he sees a few birds, say 10, 20, and he doesn't find anything. So he says, Krishna, I can't see anything. He said, look, go, just keep rewinding, keep going back. So he sees 100 birds and he doesn't find anything he had done which would lead to this. And he's like a bit upset and he says, Krishna, come on. I mean, 100 birds, I've not done anything. This is just unjust. Your system of justice is not fair. So Krishna said, okay, do a favor. Just see one more, like 101. 100 you didn't find, but in 101 you'll find. Maybe you'll find. So he
yeah,
goes, he finds in his, memory bank, and he goes to 101st. And there he sees that he was a king, and he was going on a palki, on a palanquin, and there were soldiers, his guards were walking in front of him. Suddenly, they stop. So he says, why did you stop?
yeah,
So they say, well, there is a snake on the path. So he says, okay, put that snake aside and start walking. So those guards, what they do is they pick up the snake and they throw the snake across the road. And there was a shrub of thorns. And the snake falls on the shrub of thorns, and all those thorns poke that snake, and the
oh,
snake suffers and dies. So, so Bhishma understands, well, it looks like there is some correlation between the snake
and
suffering
the
from
judge.
thorns and my body getting pierced by these arrows 101 births earlier than today. But he's still not convinced. So he comes back to present moment and he says, Krishna, come on. I mean, this is completely unreasonable, right? I was the king. I was sitting on the palanquin. I didn't do it. I didn't torture the snake. So Krishna said, no, my dear sir, you are a king. You are responsible towards all the beings who live in your kingdom. You should have told your guards, keep the snake carefully aside.
Mhm.
You did not take care. You did not see whether the snake was kept carefully aside. You said just cast it aside and they threw it. So you're responsible, not the guard. So that's how deeply intricate the law of karma is. And that's why divinity, our relationship with divinity is so important, because divinity is the only pardoning authority
Yeah,
where the impact of your bad karmas can get neutralized or minimized. For example, if you've done bad karma and you are going to go down on the street and lose a leg in an accident, maybe because of divine mercy, your relationship with divinity, you'll get a small scratch on your leg. But the
yeah,
law of karma will work. You are not going to get away by saying, oh my God, Lord Krishna has come now, nothing's going to happen.
yeah,
Yeah, it get very, very minimized. and your pain will be like almost like nothing. It's like a small thing, small scratch, and you will forget about it.
Yeah.
So that's how
Yeah.
deeply uh,
It's
this job.
rooted. Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct. So I have one last question for you before we part. But how seriously we shall take these earthly relationships that we have, with our parents, with our siblings, spouse, friends.
Well, this is my own understanding that the people we meet in our lives are definitely having some debit credit karma with us from our previous lives. Otherwise, we don't meet them.
Everyone,
Yeah, everyone. And the
everyone.
ones who are nearest to us, let us say our father, mother, our spouse, our children, and so we meet them. I think our job is to serve them with a selfless attitude, because we don't know whether we owe them or they owe us, right?
Yeah.
So the answer is serve them with a selfless attitude to the extent we can. We are human, right?
Yeah.
We may get upset, and we may not be able to serve them as much as we should, but serve them with love, with care. At least make that genuine attempt.
Correct.
So I would say they are important, and you have to try to square off the I would say karmic rin. Rin is your debt from
Yeah.
these relationships. But I have a wonderful saying. I heard a saying that you can
Yeah.
square off all debts on this planet except one, which is your mother's rin. The mother's milks, the milk which your mother feeds you when you're born, after you're born, and that you can only ask for forgiveness. You can say, "Mother, please forgive. Yeah, I can never repay this debt to you,
True.
because that's not repayable. The
Yeah.
mother's milk is nobody can pay it, so that only can be forgiven by the mother. So that's why serve the mother. If you have a mother, please serve. I used to press the feet of my mother, because of which my life is full of happiness and blessings. So those of you are fortunate. My mother is no more, and this is not from the Gita, but one student from the Gita is telling you, please serve your mother with love and devotion.
True. True. Yes, we have seen it in our families also. Like serving grandparents has always been a blessing. So yeah, it's a wonderful note to part on. And thank you, Milind, again for being here with us and always sharing so much wisdom and guiding us through life when it takes us through all the emotions and how we can look at it. So, do you have any parting words for our viewers?
Very simple. I encourage all of you. The Bhagavad Gita is free of cost, not copyrighted. It's available on web. It's available in multiple formats, prints. Please pick it up, start reading it. Don't display it on your showcase. Don't keep it in your library. It's not going to work on you. It's like a medicine which you have to consume, and it's magical. The guarantee is real. The guarantee which is Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna Yatra Partho Dhanurdhara Tatra Shri Vijayo Bhutir Dhruva Nitir Matirma. It will be good fortune, victory, stable moral order. Your life will become blessed, and you will see the manifestation of divinity happening within your heart. The light spreading from your heart, and you will become a very fulfilled, enlightened person.
Correct. Milind, if you have time, we have a question that's just come up.
Sure, sure.
So we have a question from Subhash Chand Jain.
Yeah.
What are the ways to achieve detachment from materialism and other worldly pleasures?
In the Gita, it is said Abhyasa Yoga, by constant practice. So that's the only way, because there is a shlok in the Gita where Arjun gets overwhelmed. He says, "The mind, you're asking me to calm down my mind. The mind is like a cloud. The wind will blow the cloud here and there. It is
Yeah,
so chanchal. Chanchal means it's so unstable. It is so ephemeral. Like you can't make it stable." So Krishna
correct.
says that's okay. Just do abhyasa yoga, constant practice. By
Hmm.
constant practice, you can tame your mind. So once you tame your mind, then your detachment will start happening. You'll start, probably you won't even need these worldly pleasures, which are a very temporary sense of well-being, right? That's why people
Correct.
take drugs, or they drink alcohol, or they do these kind of things. And I'm not judging anyone. All I'm saying is maybe there is a much more superior, infinite times more pleasurable, avenue which one can look at, which is consume the spiritual elixir, the magical divinity, one can consume that and drink that. They say rasa swadan of the name of the Lord, right? Take the name of the Lord in
Yeah,
whatever you imagine them, whether Radha or Krishna or Durga or Shiva or Jesus or Mary or even Nirgun Nirakar like Allah. I mean, all are same. They are all going to lead you to the same experience eventually.
exactly. Nobody, yeah, yeah. We should not divide gods. They are all one soul, right?
Uh,
So
definitely.
as Omkarji says, I also resonate, and I think all my viewers do. Always nice to hear from you, Milinji. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you,
Thank
Alamjit. Very delighted to be on Pothos, always available
yeah.
for Pothos events, and God
Thank you
bless
so much.
your talk show.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much.
Bye
Thank you.
bye.
Thank you for being there. Bye. See you. Bye. So we had Milinji on our show, and I hope you got a lot of tidbits for your life. And please send us your questions so we can share more with him and share with you also. Next week, we'll be there with Dr. Rajesh Savera, and we'll be talking about the meditation mindset. Thank you so much for being there today, and see you next week. Thank you.